Steve. It's good to see you today.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. So we are going to go ahead and go over the agenda just to help us stay on track today, and then we'll go ahead and get started after that. Sound good?
That's good.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with a mood check to kind of get a feel of how your week has been on that 1 to 10 scale, just like we did last week. And then I'll ask for an update just to see how your week's gone and how you've been feeling. And after that, if you were able to work on that exercise, the thought record this week, we'll talk about that. And then we will prioritize the agenda, so you can tell me what you really want us to focus on together today to talk about. We'll work on that, and then we'll decide what we want your assignment to be for the next week as well. And then, just like last week, I'll ask for some feedback for you if there's anything you'd like me to change for the next session, or and just how you feel that the session went. So, does all of that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, okay. So we will go ahead and start with the mood check. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest, how depressed have you been feeling this week?
About 8, 8.5.
Okay, that's pretty high, so you've been feeling pretty down this week.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling right now? How depressed are you feeling?
About 6 or 7.
Okay. All right. So that's still pretty high. So we will talk about that here in a little bit. So, in just 2 to 3 sentences, can you tell me how your week has gone this past week?
Well, I had some things scheduled with some friends, but they were canceled. So I know that sounds redundant, but it seems to keep happening. But on top of that, we got the holidays starting next week with Thanksgiving, and I tend to get really depressed even more then with family stuff. So on top of the thing with the friends, it's just I feel like it's a little harder to kind of deal with.
So you had your friends cancel on you this week.
Yeah.
And then also it sounds like with the holidays, with Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up, you've been feeling down from that as well.
Yeah.
All right. Did anything else happen this past week that you feel like would be important for us to talk about?
It's just when these. I remember feeling really, really worthless. I guess it's almost as like I feel like if every time my friends cancel, I don't have friends. If I don't have friends, I'm no good or stupid or something. Does that make sense?
Okay. So you're saying when your friends cancel on you, you feel like you don't have any friends and just feeling really down and worthless.
Like this last time when it happened, I just went to bed, curled myself under the covers, and
Right.
Like I feel like I'm in my bubble when I do that.
Right. So it sounds like it's causing you to just kind of want to shut down and go to bed.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I did see that you were able to bring your thought record today. Were you able to write any thoughts down this week?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wrote some down. Just.
All right. So, what were some thoughts that you noticed maybe that you were thinking that you didn't realize you thought? I see where you did talk about when your friend canceled, you wrote the thought down. Why did I even try?
Yeah,
Um,
it's just why and that's why I asked was why do I try? You know, it seems like every time I try and I feel like things are going. I'm gonna have to get out of the house and hang out with my buddies and stuff. And something always happens and they cancel and they don't want to, and it's just I'm starting to feel like it's my fault. Like I said, you know, if they keep canceling, then it's gotta be my fault. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm worthless or stupid.
okay. So you're feeling like it's something that you've done when they cancel.
Yeah, something I've done, or it's just maybe after my accident they just see me differently. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So those are definitely some thoughts you're having that I could see why um, you're feeling depressed and then deciding to um, get in the bed after that. So we do. We'll prioritize the agenda since you did talk about two things that were going on this week. One was you're feeling really down in the holidays, and then the other one was your friends canceling and you feeling really depressed about that and feeling like it's your fault. It sounds like which of those would you want us to talk about first? That way, if we don't have enough time in this session to get to the second problem, we can talk about that next week.
Probably my friends. I mean, that seems to be the ongoing problem.
Okay.
And that then holidays just come once a year. My friends, they're around all the time. So I kind of want to talk about that one.
Okay. All right. So, going back to the assignment that you had, that thought record. We all have automatic thoughts, and sometimes those thoughts can be really good thoughts, and sometimes our thoughts can be bad, or even they may be not all the way true. And that's actually called a cognitive distortion. So, when you said that your friends canceled on you this week, you felt like you didn't have friends and that you were worthless. That would actually be a cognitive distortion of overgeneralizing, um, where you're looking at what's happened this week and you're really feeling like you just don't have any friends at all, is what that thought seems to be reflecting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, a little bit.
All right. And then we also have what's called a core belief. And that's a thought that a lot of times we've had these thoughts since we were a child. And it's things that, yet again, we don't really realize that we're thinking them, but they ultimately affect the way that we feel about ourselves. And so I heard you say that actually one of those was worthless, and the core beliefs. There's three core beliefs, and those are helpless, hopeless, worthless. And you actually said one of those. So that's just something that doing that thought record, that can really help to start to look and pay attention to those thoughts. Have you noticed that you have those thoughts?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, that's good that you are paying attention. So that's good that you had noticed that sometimes, and the more we pay attention to those thoughts, we can start to see if there's any cognitive distortions that we need to modify. So I heard you saying basically from a lot of the thoughts that I'm seeing on your thought record here, it seems like you feel if you don't have friends, if your friends cancel on you, then you feel like a loser.
Yeah.
Is that what you're feeling?
Yeah. I mean, if I wasn't a loser, then people would want to hang out with me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like almost the accident made me feel maybe into somebody they don't want to be around. So
So you feel like since that accident, they are treating you differently, and you feel like they don't want to hang out.
yeah,
Since that accident.
yeah.
All right. So on a scale of 1 to 10, of course 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest, how much do you believe that thought that if you don't have any friends, then you're a loser?
I mean, about 7.5.
Okay, so you really, it seems like you really do believe that.
Yeah.
That's high. Okay, and when you think this, how do you feel?
Feel like I'm engulfed in like sad, like very sad, very blah, very depressed. Like I just don't want to do anything. I don't want to think. I just want to be in my bubble, and not let anybody in it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So it sounds like you kind of close off and shut down, get really down and depressed.
Yeah.
How strongly do you feel that on that scale of 1 to 10?
About like that's 6, 7 range.
Okay. All right. So all of that's pretty high, probably a 6 or above.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what we're wanting to pay attention to here is how those thoughts really can affect your feelings
Mm-hmm.
and your behaviors. So, is there any specific situations that you can see when those thoughts come up for you?
Yeah, like when my friends cancel, or when I see people doing stuff I used to do. I haven't been able to drive, so I can't go cruising around or stuff like that. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Um, when you feel that, is there anything that you notice happening in your body when you start to feel that way?
I just feel like I feel weighed down. Like that depression kind of weighs you down, not bogged down.
Is it
Like,
a heavy feeling?
Yeah.
What do you do when you start to feel that way?
Like I said, I just close myself off.
Yeah.
My bed is that's my bubble.
So you normally just shut down and go to bed. All right, so what we really want to do is start to challenge the thoughts and really see if it's a valid thought that we're having. We talked earlier about we can have good thoughts, and then we can sometimes have thoughts that may or may not be necessarily true. So what evidence do you have that supports the idea that if you don't have friends, then you're a loser?
Well, just the constant cancellation. Every time we try to plan something, it doesn't work out. The fact that we don't hang out like we used to. So.
Okay. So the fact that they seem to be continuing to cancel on you since you had your accident.
Yeah.
That's something that you feel like would support it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have that would be opposite from that? Something that is against that idea?
Well, my family seems like they want to be around me.
Okay, so that's something really positive then, that since your accident, your family's are they still pretty involved with you?
Yeah, they're very, they're there. Sometimes they're too much, but they're there.
All right. So would that be evidence that would possibly support that you're not a loser? The fact that your
Maybe.
family's seeming to be really supportive.
It's either I'm a loser or that they're obligated to do it because I'm family. It's one of the two.
I see. Okay. So can you think of, since you just brought up your family, What would be some advice that you would give a family member if they were going through this same situation?
I don't know, just stay positive and, you know, keep their chin up, I guess, think positive and keep trying. Maybe they'll come around.
Right. And if they said that they were a loser, what was some advice that you would give to them on that?
I would say they wasn't a loser. I wouldn't think they're a loser. I would point out their successes, stuff like that.
All right. So you point out their successes and, confirm to them that they're not a loser and things like that. That's good. So, do you think that that's something that you could maybe give that advice to your own self when you start to think those thoughts?
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm going to try to.
Okay. Now, what do you think the worst thing would be that could happen if let's say you are a loser? What's the worst thing that you can imagine happening?
I don't know. Just be alone, I guess. That'd be the worst thing.
Just being alone.
Continue sealing myself off.
To continue to close off
Yeah,
and be
I had to
alone.
really think about that for me because I'm just like, I mean, I would close myself off and if I closed myself off, then they wouldn't cancel that. I wouldn't feel like a loser. See what I'm saying?
Okay. What would be the best thing you can imagine? What would be the best thing that you could imagine?
If I was a loser?
If you if your friends did come around.
I would feel wanted. I feel like I would be included.
What do you see the most realistic outcome is? I know it seems like your friends are not coming around as much now that you've had your accident, or that's what it seems like, at least this past week when they canceled.
Yeah.
What would be the most realistic outcome, you think?
If
Of your friends not coming around or them coming around?
I'm not coming around, I'd just be depressed and just shut myself off. And if they came around, then I'll have people to hang out with. Yeah, I feel like maybe the old times. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, these are questions just to really start to challenge these thoughts that we have to see if we can modify them for them to be more positive. That way, ultimately, it can, since those thoughts affect you feeling depressed and then choosing to stay in the bed and really shut down. That's really what we're trying to do here, is just really look at those thoughts and see if maybe we could modify them. So I hope that helped. So for the exercise next week, it would be good if you can continue to do the automatic thought record.
Okay.
Did you feel like that was helpful for you this past week?
Yeah, it gave me some stuff to think about.
Okay. And what you can do when you feel like it is when you write down that thought, ask yourself, what would I tell my family member if I was thinking that thought? And write that down. And then we can take a look at that next week and see if that exercise helped. So we are kind of getting towards the end of the session now. So I'd actually like you to give a summary, if you can, of what you got out of the session.
Went over my mood check, where I was on a scale of 1 to 10. You talked to me about the automated responses. you know, how those can affect how I'm feeling and stuff. We looked at, you know, what's the word, how I felt when, people canceled or whatever. Um, you know, why I felt like I was stupid, and if that was valid or not. Um, how to put my family members in a situation and how would I help them and try to apply that to myself, and continue to think about automated responses.
Yeah, all right, wow. Yeah, you wrapped that up really well. So is there anything that you would like me to do differently next week or any feedback you have for me?
No.
No? Okay. All right. So I'd like to end with the way we started with doing a mood check. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest, how depressed do you feel right now?
About 4.
4? Okay, so that's dropped quite a bit since the beginning of the session, so that's really good. So, well, all right, Steve. Well, I'll go ahead and I'll give you this assignment for next week, and if you can just do that maybe 2 to 3 times.
Okay.